Let's talk money. Now that I've got your attention.
I always wanted to be the total package. Always. I want it all. The problem is, you have to fucking own it. You have to own it every single day, 200%. And it's exhausting, and nobody tells you that part because you think total package is something that comes natural. There's not one person that is anywhere I want to be that did it without hard work and exhausting hours.
Hey everybody, so this is the first podcast. I've been wanting to do this for years, but I just hadn't had the time. And then I started talking and utilizing my network in ways that I had never done before. And I really committed the last 2 years in building relationships I already had, but like asking questions, asking how they did it, not being scared to say, I want what you have. Like I want to go from where I am and I want to be where you are. And then I want to surpass you too. Now I've got time because I did those things. I asked those questions. I've leveled up in my businesses. And I thought, man, I'm a girl from the trailer park. I mean, grew up way trailer park. To have what I have, it wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It wasn't even a blessing. It was just knowing that I wanted more and that I could get more. And surrounding myself with people that had more than I had and being open and learning from them. And so now this podcast purely is about for that trailer park girl that's watching, that's listening, that wants more, that thinks that she or he doesn't deserve what I have. Oh, I want that type. You can. Most importantly, I want my guests to be real, and I don't want them to give you motivational buzzwords and feel goods that you can read on meme on Facebook. I want them, and I'm going to challenge them. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to make them a little bit uncomfortable because I am so sick of listening to gurus. You have to find information, ask questions, listen to things, and you have to do the work, guys. No one can tell you and make it happen for you. I look back at, 16-year-old Tiffany and 20-year-old Tiffany, some of the brazen things I did, like walking into a place that wasn't even advertising they were hiring because I wanted to be in that skyrise in Dallas. And I had no resume, no previous job worthy of walking into this place that wasn't even advertising. I look at that girl who then got that job, right, by the way, and think she's crazy, overconfident, and no credibility. But what I also had was the humility and self-awareness that even though I walked in, I knew I was not deserving of the job. I had no experience to do what I was going to be hired to do. I never even had a computer. I was going to be the executive admin to the CEO. Now I started as a receptionist, right? But I had enough self-awareness, confidence to get me there to say, ask for more, take those risks, be bold and be confident, but enough self-awareness and humility to understand. Also, once you get it, you need to learn so that you actually provide what your mouth said you're going to provide, right? Go and do those things that you think you're not worthy of. And then if you get them, you need to be worthy of them. And that's going to be hard work. Learn. For me to feel successful in my day, I had more freedom to do things. And that took me being a slave of give. If you're not where you want to be in life, you need to find a place that's going to teach you how to get to where you want to be in life. And don't you dare make an ask. You give. Eat as many ramen noodles as you can stomach on that pay. And know that what you're actually getting, guys, is the knowledge, is the how-to, is the education. That's what you're getting paid. Stop asking for, can I get a $2 raise? Start asking for, can I do more? Can I take on that person's work? You don't even have to pay me. I'll do mine and I'll do hers, and you can get rid of her and you're gonna save yourself $20 an hour. I'll do it. No additional cost to you, sir, because I wanna learn what they're doing, right? When you find a pivot, then ask. But if you do ask and you have that pivot, then give more than what you asked in return.
I want to bring on people that, even though I'm known for legal, won't always be legal, but all of them are going to be entrepreneurs. All of them are going to have a story. What I think is most unique about this podcast is actual 1, 2, 3 tangibles. My most frustrating moment in trying to get out of the trailer park and to create something that I just felt in my soul that I was destined for was a lot of people fluffed me up. A lot of people poured into me words that made me feel good, that made me feel motivated. So this podcast, Not Your Guru, is bringing people on that are real human beings, just like you listening, that if you want their life, if you're intrigued by what they're doing today, hearing where they came from, how they got there, and second and most importantly, actual steps, tangible, like if you're listening and you're driving, you pull over on the side of the road and you're putting in your notepad, you're telling Siri, remind me tomorrow, I need to do X, Y, and Z, because I didn't have that. And I made a lot of mistakes because I didn't have the how-to.
I'm Tiffany Poole. I own AMP Consulting. That's attorneymarketpower.com. And I also own Hero Conversion Technologies, which is a call center that sets appointments for attorneys. Why does any of this matter? Well, because I got my start building one of the largest bankruptcy law firms in all of Texas and the top 10% in the nation.
Probably the biggest myth about what I bring to the table is I'm here to teach you to be a salesperson. I'm not, because I hate salespeople. What I am here to do is teach you human communication, because that's how I grew that practice and how I have many firms around the nation now is the human piece, right? So my background really is in psychology and how people make buying decisions. Not lay on the couch and tell me how you feel, because I don't care. But I do care about, and I'm interested, and I kind of geek out, and I hope you guys do too, on how powerful words can be and how timing of things and how you can ask questions and you never have to sales pitch a day in your life.
The reason why I exclusively train bankruptcy attorneys on this consult is because I believe that bankruptcy is the last hope for a lot of people. And I think that number is only going to continue to grow, regardless of what market nonsense you're going to tell me about. And I want to make sure that if you're a good attorney, that you're not getting in your own way, or you're not allowing the debtor to get in their own way of making that decision. So what I teach is how to deliver communication in a way that gets them to be able to do what is in their best interest. So this isn't to get anyone to do bankruptcy that bankruptcy does not help or alleviate their problem or make their life better. They have the need and they have the right debt and the right situation, and bankruptcy is going to help them and change their life. I want to be a part of that, and I want to make sure that you're a part of that. And you should be shaking their hand and saying, you know what, the rest is up to me. Go home, sleep for once.
Now, think about it. You're about to get all in their dirty laundry, right? And they don't know you. Physically meeting with someone, it naturally, they see the pictures on your desk of your wife and your kids, or, they physically see you and feel your vibe. Over the phone, they can't see you, they can't feel you, they don't know the surroundings. So you have to create that. And I think it's something that's, when I listen to call recordings, and by the way, when we get into one-on-one trainings, we're going to be listening to your no hires together, one-on-ones. Don't worry, Michael's not going to be listening to Ethan's and being like, man, you suck, bro. It's going to be one-on-one.
You need to be able to walk them through micro decisions from start to finish. You are hydroplaning them through emotional phases with your words, with your timing, with the questions that you ask. If you are trying to sell anyone, you're doing it wrong. If you are trying to be the lowest guy in the market, charge the less to get them to entice to buy from you, you're doing it wrong. So let me tell you how you should do it. In order to be the solution, you have to know exactly what the problem is. And it's not going to be the same for everyone. And if you treat everyone exactly the same, you're going to miss out really helping someone and being able to really assist someone, because they're going to go to someone that is listening to them and that cares about specifically the problem they're having.
Words matter, right? They have subconscious human reaction. It looks like, John, you have an $80,000 problem. That feels very different than we have an $80,000 problem, right? I'm putting us in the same boat. These things matter way more than how great you are at bankruptcy or being an attorney. This slight human communication or understanding of words and human communication matters way more in getting more people to sign up, because the hardest part of what y'all do is not convincing someone bankruptcy is going to solve their problem. That's not it, right? If they've already gotten to us, they tried other things, they know they need to do this. Our hardest part is getting people past their own human nature of not wanting to do it right now because the solution sounds and feels just as bad as the problem. Filing bankruptcy does not feel like a win to me, right? So our hardest job is doing the human to human piece, not being great at what we do. That comes in fulfillment and casework anyways, right? But in the consult, the hardest part is not getting them to understand how this is going to fix the problem, but getting them to want to do it and want to do it today, right now, right? That's our struggle.
I can tell you what I'm doing today, tomorrow, and in theory, the following day. This time next week is like a whole year for me and everybody else. How I feel today is not how I feel this time next week. I know you guys have already heard about the 48-hour rule on, like, if you're upset about something, wait 48 hours before you speak about it, because how you feel about it will be completely different. That is a psychological fact. I don't want that for that person. I just spent however much time with paralegal getting them on the phone with me when they were vulnerable. How long before they even picked up the phone to call a bankruptcy attorney, right? The paralegal time, getting them motivated to even get on the phone with me. Then I spend 30, 45, an hour with them, getting them motivated and primed to retain. If it's outside 48 hours, you have to do that all over again emotionally for them. A good number of people subconsciously have the hesitation and they don't even know it consciously, right? Something is making them not feel confident to pull the trigger, or the urgency to pull the trigger, right? Something's holding them back. By me saying, what's got you hesitant? What's the worst case scenario going on in your head right now in taking this next step? I'm not asking the question because I'm posing as the assumption, which makes it easier for them to be able to work out what that is, or have the environment and tone that you set that it's okay for them to honestly tell you.
The problem is, if you're not retaining over 85% of the people that are walking through your door right now, it's because you're not asking the questions that might make you feel a little weird. If you have more leads resulting in more appointments and more appointments that show, it might still not matter. Because if more people aren't retaining, you just did a whole lot of work and paid a whole lot of marketing expense for $0 extra in your pocket. You can't run a business that way. You can't sustain. Eventually, you will die.
I always tell attorneys that I'm coaching that getting someone to understand how bankruptcy is going to help them once they've called us, there's really no skill set in it, right? It's showing them how they can afford the solution that takes skill level and not sales. The timing is perfect for leading to listening, gathering information, wanting to know what they want out of this, right? And then communicating my solution in that way, and then showing them how they can afford the solution.
I think it's important that every practice in the first 24 hours of receiving a lead be very diligent in treating that lead as top priority. Outside the 24 hours, it becomes much harder to reach that person. They're no longer in that emotional state. They may no longer be open to your help. And so it's our job to make sure that we connect with them when they have reached out to us. So in the first 24 hours, it's imperative that you call them at least 4 times. And I know that seems aggressive, and if it's not something that you're currently doing in your practice, it seems like too much. But I can tell you there is not anything that is too much when you're trying to help someone. You're not selling them cable TV. We're trying to change their life and we're trying to help them. And the only way we're going to be able to help them is if we reach out to them, and we do so with urgency. If you call 4 times, they're going to say, well, maybe I need to do it now. Let me just stop right now and call them back. And let me tell you, that's our job, because the faster we can get a connection with them, the faster we can get them in our office, the faster we can help them.
Hero conversion technologies, I have humans just like law firms have, humans working for them inside their office. I think the difference is my guys I call heroes because it's two parts. One, technology. So we have technology that allows us to hit a lead with a text, a call, within 30 seconds of receiving it. That's part one. If you wait 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, the next day, now you're chasing, and that vulnerability they had when they sought out and they became a lead is gone or lessened, right? And then the second piece is the heart and soul of my hero, right? They are taught to focus on, don't communicate, do you want to file bankruptcy? Do you want a free consult? Tell me about your debts, write off. These are strangers. We're taught not to speak that way, right? Yeah. Instead, it's, what's the biggest burden? We use language that taps into emotion and gets us on their level of, forget about what I'm trying to sell. You, human being, what are you struggling with? What's the biggest burden right now? And so what my heroes are trained to do is get them talking about, what does that mean? So when they say, well, I want to get out of debt, absolutely, that's what we do here. But tell me, John, what does that look like for you? So we don't focus on what I think that human nature tells you to focus on when you're working inside a business, what problem you can solve for them and telling them how you can solve it. Instead, it's getting them to communicate outside the surface and dig deeper to, the true motivator, and then saying, okay, what does that look like? What do you want your life to look like? Getting them to think outside just solving the problem and stopping the bleeding, but rebuilding their life. Because if you can tap into that, you've got engagement, you've got rapport, you've got someone motivated. And then you get the facts, you get the motivator, and it's, okay, John, I have someone right now that can help you solve this right now. Let me get you to them. And we hot transfer. We work with our law firms and we show them how, even if you're listening right now and you're like, there's no way in reality I can do that. I'm booked until the end of time already, right? No, I work with guys that have multiple states, 16, 17, 20 offices, and they're booked till the end of time. And I show them how you can actually take a hot transfer. And that alone gets you a 20% upswing and retains. Of course. You don't have to change how you do your consults, because the hero has taken this person and hydroplaned them through that emotional decision-making phases, right? And then we don't hang up the phone, we hot transfer so they don't have time to go back to a natural state.
Whoever works the lead in the first place to get the appointments, they've done something emotionally to kind of get that person ready, or that person naturally was because something happened and so they called, right? So when they hang up from the time of when the appointment is set, they go back into sticking their head because in their mind, oh, I did something so I feel better subconsciously, right? So then if you're doing the consult and it's set a day later, 2 days later, or even 3 hours from the call, you almost have to recreate that feeling again. So you have to do a lot more song and dance, right? That honestly you can't really do because people don't make decisions based on fact. No matter how analytical the personality is, they're making decisions on how they feel about the facts at that exact moment, right? How that relates to you is you can't recreate it, right? And so now you're doing the consult and they don't have that vulnerability anymore, right? So they're taking what you're saying as a informational gathering because I'm not emotional and don't feel urgency to act, right? We already have to deal with that with things that we are out of our control where, creditors aren't acting, so people don't feel like the sky is falling that hard on them, that kind of thing. So that's why you see in the numbers a 20% conservatively uptick on retain rate just by adding a hot transfer, because it's like emotional, bam, someone solves the problem. Yes, right?
Getting a live person on the phone is probably the biggest problem for attorneys. They receive an internet lead, and I could probably say more than 70% of them never get a live person on the phone, even after multiple contacts. But it shouldn't surprise any of us because, again, I feel that we wait too long to try to connect with them. So essentially, they've left their computer and they've gone on with their day. They no longer are in a vulnerable spot reaching out to you. So you haven't done your job. You've allowed them to put it off for another day, which will put off the options that they have that are available to them. You know that with their particular situation, it's no guarantee that they're going to have their car in 5 minutes, that they're going to have their home in a day. So you knowing everything that you know and that all the options that you could provide to them are limited as time goes by, you need to take the action to contact them. Because what I fear in this industry, we tend to wait much longer than we should. And what happens is the consumer then decides not to take action, not to do anything, because it's probably the hardest, scariest time of their life. And when we are faced with financial hardships of that severity, it's hard to deal with reality. It's much easier to continue with our daily routine and get very stuck in our day-to-day lives, because sometimes we feel like there is no out. And again, that's where I stress the attorney to feel obligated and to feel the sense of urgency that the consumer may not feel yet because they don't know everything you know, and reach out to them immediately. I would love if a bankruptcy attorney could reach out to a consumer when they're still at their computer, when they're saying, I'm ready to deal with this and I need help, and they're reaching out for information and options. For you to be there when they're looking for it and when they're reaching out for your help, to immediately be able to connect with them. And then provide them exactly what they're looking for. Put your expectations and your needs aside. Give them exactly what they have been yelling for: information, options. Let them know that they're not the only ones. What I suggest all attorneys to do is to, again, take urgency and connecting with them, and 36 seconds. And I know that seems, for most attorneys, there's no way I could contact an internet lead in 36 seconds, but that's just not true. If it's important to you, as it should be, and you have a dedicated person that takes ownership and the responsibility of contacting the internet consumer to give them exactly what they're looking for at that time, your chances of getting a live person on the phone are going to significantly increase.
The minute that you stop training your people to sell is the minute that you start winning, because now you're focused on the human. And my people are trained on asking questions. I actually look at calls, and before I even listen to the call to do a call calibration, I see how often did my rep, my hero, my call center agent talk versus the other person on the phone. And if my hero is talking 80% of the time, they're selling. We ask very strategic human communication logic questions so that the answer is what you would normally be selling.
Right.
Part of my other company, the National Call Center, does doc collection and petition prep for law firms all around the US. And we get referred the case at retain, and someone has to do the welcome email out as soon as it retains. And then the team has to have a call with them within 48 hours. That call is 45 minutes to an hour long, depending on the case type, right? My intaker goes through the questionnaire, asks the questions, and is doing the petition as they're asking the questions, and then goes through the document list, sets a deadline that was already stated in the email, but maybe they sent one, right? That these are the 4 documents that have to be had, and I need them no later than tomorrow at 3 o'clock, because I need to set you with the next stage. And then we turn in 80% of the petition done, and the hot documents. That's reviewed. We don't collect the other or even work on the other documents until it's reviewed by the attorney. The attorney goes, yep, everything's good to go. We collect the rest of the documents, set the signing. So that's kind of how it works.
You can't only have automated marketing or autoresponders, because then you're not going to reach the people that need to hear your voice on the other end of the phone, that need to have that live interaction in order to make a decision and to move forward and to choose you in your practice. So you have to have both, is my answer to how I feel about automated marketing. I think it's essential in a growing practice. It's something essential in any business, not just law firms. But it should never be used to replace a live person.
We're getting all of our attorneys to do videos about tax refund. I can send you the script and you just do a video, and that should be sent out via text for anyone that owes you money, and by email. And it takes you less than 5 minutes to do the video. It's not some email I'm not going to read or some text I'm going to ignore. When you do a video, you're at least doing your part, right? And you'll be surprised how many people that had no intention of using the tax refund, that this video will get them to change their mind and pay off their case, because it's really about, look, this may be the only time in a year where our clients have the ability to do the rest of the year better, have a better year than they would if they stay on a payment plan and don't get X, Y, and Z fixed. So we write for all the firms and do videos, but it's literally just loading it and texting it out and emailing it out. And if nothing else, it's engagement, right?